If you're watching this video the same day I uploaded it, that means that there's 26 days left until Christmas. By my calculation, that's about enough time to read about 17 novels. Okay, maybe not quite that many. But people love to talk about Christmas movies, which is fine, but how many of you have actually stopped to read any Christmas books? There's a lot of good ones out there, including books which have inspired many of those movies that you discuss every year. If you're looking for some literary fun to get you into the holiday spirit, I've got a few recommendations for you. The first and most obvious book is, of course, Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. I don't need to tell you what this is about. Everybody knows the story of Ebenezer Scrooge and the spirits that help him find redemption. It is quite possibly the single most adapted work in the history of the English language. It's been made into hundreds of movies, TV episodes, graphic novels, radio dramas, stage plays. If there's a storytelling medium that exists, A Christmas Carol has appeared in it. And oddly enough, one of the depictions that's the most accurate to the book is the one that stars this guy as Charles Dickens as the narrator. But have you ever actually read the book? There's a reason it's been adapted so many times, friends. Okay, there's two reasons. But the other reason is just that it's a magnificent story. It's sweet, simple, sad, triumphant. It's even short. A literate adult could probably get through the entire book in a Saturday afternoon, especially now that you know that your college football team is not going to be going to the playoffs this year. You know who I'm talking to. Next up is The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus by L. Frank Baum. Baum, of course, is best known as the creator of The Wizard of Oz, but in 1902, he gave us this book about a foundling named Claus who's raised by fairies and eventually goes on to be the only human granted the mantle of immortality. It's an interesting book because by 1902, the Santa Claus legend was very well known, but a lot of the standard elements hadn't been solidified yet. In Baum's version of the story, Santa doesn't live at the North Pole, for example. He has magical helpers, but they're not elves. And yeah, he is driven by reindeer, but it doesn't have 8, he has 10, and none of them have the familiar names that you're used to. It's Santa Claus as a fantasy adventure for children. But if you love Santa, or Oz, then it's definitely worth reading. And I hear Cynthia Erivo is in talks to play Santa in the movie adaptation. And here's an outside-the-box choice. In God We Trust, All Others Pay Cash by Gene Shepard. You may not know his name, but I guarantee you know his voice. Shepard was a well-known radio announcer and author who became well-known for a series of autobiographical short stories about growing up in a small town in America in the 1940s. When Shepard and director Bob Clark took several of those stories and put them together into a movie, Shepard himself provided the voice for the main character as an adult narrating the film. The main character, a young man named Ralphie Parker, and the movie, of course, was A Christmas Story. Shepard and Clark took several of the short stories and fused them together into a single movie, including things like the battle with the school bully, the story of the feud with the neighbors over their dogs, the battle of the infamous leg lamp, and of course, the story of the little orphan Annie's secret decoder pin. But of all the stories that were used for the movie, only one of them, the story of the Red Ryder BB gun, was originally Christmas themed. Yet somehow, Clark and Shepard managed to Frankenstein all of these stories together into one of the most enduring and beloved versions of an all-American Christmas. Years after the movie became a holiday staple, they released an abridged version of the book that only had the stories that were used in the movie, called simply A Christmas Story. And finally, how would you like to read some Christmas stories that I can virtually guarantee you've never read before? For years now, I've had a tradition of writing a new Christmas short story every year and posting it on my blog at blakempt.com/Christmas. They're all available right now, most of them for free, except for a couple of the longer novellas, which are available for a cost that not even Ebenezer Scrooge would balk at. And make sure you come back to the website later this month, because just a few days before Christmas, it'll be time to drop this year's story. Until then, happy reading.